Hi, it's Kelly, midwifery lecturer here, and I'm going to share some tips today for student midwives on how they can practice palpation at home. So to practice abdominal palpation, what you're going to need is a doll of some sort, and I've got one of these infant models here, but any sort of doll or teddy bear that has limbs that you can squish up into a little ball like that will do fine. And the other thing that you're going to need is a pillow. The flatter the pillow the better. This one's reasonably flat, and of course a pillowcase as well. So to practice abdominal palpation, the part of the pillow where the pillow slip lifts up, this is going to be the back of the woman, and the other part of the pillow is going to be the abdomen of the woman. So this is the part I'm going to palpate on. So turning this back over, so I've got access to the pillow slip entry. What I'm going to do is take my doll and curl the doll up into a fetal position, and then I'm going to insert the doll into a predetermined position. So if I want to practice palpating a baby in a left occipital anterior position, then I'm going to insert the baby in through the pillow slip into that position. What you need to remember with this though is that because we are inserting it on the back side of the person, it's going to be in the opposite direction. So if I want to do a LOA, if this is the woman's left, then I'm going to insert the baby onto the right. And the other thing to remember is the area where I'm slipping the baby in, I'm going to use that as being the foot end of my woman, and the top area of the pillow, that's going to be the head end of the woman. So when I put the baby in here, I'm going to put the baby in bottom first so that I've got the head towards the feet of the woman, and that will be like having the head at the pelvis. So I'm going to pop this in on my right side and bottom first. And remembering that the woman's tummy is on this side here, I want to feel a baby in an anterior position. So I'm going to just adjust the back of this so that the back is pointing more towards the woman's abdomen when I turn this over. So looking in there, we can see that I've got the baby on my right, which when I turn over is going to be her left. And I have got the back pointing towards the abdomen, so that's going to give me that LOA sort of position. So if I turn this baby over now, so now that I've turned this over, this is the woman's abdomen. I'm just going to pop my hand back inside to check that I have got this baby in the right position, and I can feel baby is nicely curled in, and I have got the back on the left side, and I have got the back uppermost to her abdomen, so that's going to be anterior, and I can feel the head down the bottom. So I've got everything positioned. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is carry out a palpation, and you can see that I've got a rise here, just as I would on a woman's abdomen if she was near term. We're going to go through fundal, lateral and pelvic palpation to see what this feels like with a baby in an LOA position. And I know that my baby's in an LOA position, or left occipital anterior, because I put the baby in that way. So we're going to start up here. So with the fundus, we start with our little finger towards the abdomen first, and our thumb is up here. And so we're just going in this way and just working our way down until we can feel the ridge of the uterus. So what you're going to feel here is you're going to feel where the toy baby is that you've got. So once I can feel that, which I can feel it now, I've got a little ridge there and I can feel that baby sitting there. I'm just going to cup my hand around and see if I can feel a pole there. So I'm looking to feel if there's a head or a bottom there, and it will sort of feel round and perhaps a bit wide, and won't jiggle round very easily if it's the bottom. So I can definitely feel that there is a pole there, so that's good. This tells me that the baby is probably longitudinal, so the baby's spine is longitudinal in relation to mum's spine. So basically they're both a bit parallel, which is what you want with a term birth, because it means that you've got one pole up the top and one pole down the bottom, which I will confirm soon. So we need the pole down the bottom so that the baby is going to come out, either head or bottom first. And we need a pole up the top so that when we get those contractions happening at the fundus in labour, those contractions are able to put direct pressure on this baby, which is going to push everything down. So that's our fundal palpation. We've found our fundus and we've found our fetal pole just by cupping our hand around and finding that nice wide lump there. And we know that this is a bottom, probably because it's not moving very much and it's nice and wide. If we were over 24 to 28 weeks, we would also use the tape measure at this point and do a fundal symphysis height measurement. Once fundal palpation is done, we're going to move on to lateral palpation, and this is where we're going to find where the back is. Is it on the left or right side? Is it anterior or posterior? So I'm going to start by stabilising one side first. So I'm stabilising the mother's right side, and I'm going to use my other hand to just feel down this side on the left and see what I can find. And with the back, what I'm looking for is to be able to feel a continuous ridge. So it should feel continuous and solid. And you can see with the pressing in on the pillow, you do actually need to push in a reasonable amount to be able to feel this, because the baby is sitting there through layers of adipose, subcutaneous tissue, muscle of the uterus and liqua as well. So you do actually need to feel through all of that, but you should be able to get a fair idea of how much pressure is needed using this pillow practice method. Now once I think that I've felt down this side, I can clearly feel a back here because it feels nice and solid and continuous. And because I can so easily feel this back and feel quite a bit of the back as I go down, this is telling me it's probably anterior. I want to actually just double check that by stabilising this side now, and I'm going to feel all the way down this side to see what I can feel here. And what you should feel is perhaps dips and interruptions, so it won't feel solid like it does on this side where it's solid and continuous. You've got dips and interruptions on this side because there are more limbs here. That's my lateral palpation done. Now I'm going to come down and just finish off with my pelvic palpation. So this is where I'm going to feel for a pole down this end. And I can hold and stabilise the pole up at the fundus while I'm looking for that. And I've got my pole here. Now this feels a little bit different because it's a head, it's more sort of round and firm like a ball, and I can block this a little bit so I can move it a little bit. When you're learning to palpate, it can be difficult to tell which pole is which, so that's alright, that will come with practice. The important thing really is to just be able to identify that you have got two poles, so the poles being the fetal head and the fetal rump. Being able to find a pole here at the pelvis, which I suspect is the head, and which I know because I put the baby in that way, and I've been able to feel what it feels like to feel that back along the left anterior position of the abdomen. That's what it feels like to have an LOA position and to be able to palpate it, and that's the sort of pressure that you need to apply when you're feeling for the baby's position as well, just remembering that you've got all of those layers that you're trying to feel through. So now what you could do is just switch this baby around and maybe pop the back in a posterior position. So that's where the back is more towards the mother's back, and I've just popped this on the left posterior position, still in that longitudinal lie. So now you could do the same, just have a feel and see how different that feels, and that's much more difficult to feel the back. And you can feel on the top that there actually are a lot of gaps on the top with this one, whereas with my previous palpation when the baby was anterior, I felt a lot more of those gaps over on the right side because that's where the limbs were. So this one you'll see the different sorts of clues that we can get as to that the baby is now in a posterior position, because it is much harder to feel that back, and really I can't feel the ridge line that I could quite clearly feel when the baby was in that anterior position. So that's how you can practice abdominal palpation at home. It is not quite like the real thing, but it's a good way to just introduce you to how different positions feel so that you have more of an idea of it when you're going out and trying to do abdominal palpation and practice with a midwife.